everybody. Welcome aboard to Third Eye Salon. OMG, we have Shawn Leonard from Canada, big psychic medium person who's just blessing us today with his presence, with his warm, wonderful heart, and we're just going to take a journey with him. So I'll do a quick intro and say hello to everybody, and then we'll get into business. Hey, Shawn, thank you and bless you for being with us today.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Kat, Linda, and Jillian. Thank you for having me on Third Eye Salon, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, me too. And then we've got Jillian Leonard, who's the driving force in bringing Shawn to the show. They're not related, FYI. They just share the same last name. But Jillian, thank you for being here. She's got stacks of questions for Shawn, and we were talking about them the other night. And so I'm just so excited to have her voice and her questions being on the show today.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. I'm super excited. Been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, me too. And you your hair's just doing it today. Your hair's on point today, sis.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then my lovely goddess friend, she likes me to call her psychic medium conscious business coach, but she's my goddess, Linda Coulter-Burge, who's also really a psychic medium as well, even though she doesn't put it out there. She's got so many gifts. That is one of them. Linda, thank you for blessing us with your love and beauty today.
Thank you, Kat. I am just over the moon to have Shawn here as a guest, and I just cannot wait. I love the energy. He vibes at he's even more grounded than I am, Kat.
Yeah, like his energy, because we're all like empathic, intuitive, psychic people on the show, right? So like his presence is just like, oh, like this is this warm, deep, rich energy that's like flowing through the stream already, and so it's amazing. So I want to make sure that everyone knows what we're about. So on Third Eye Salon, we like to take a fresh look between the veils of reality and see what's really going on. And so today, we're looking at how working with a psychic medium is really just a launching pad for your own greater spiritual awakening and expression and expansion. So it's one of those things where psychic medium comes in, heals wounds, but also that place of healing then becomes a jumping off point for your own deep dive into your authentic connection and communication with spirit. So we're going to be doing that and so much more, because again, there's so many questions that I know that Miss Jillian and Linda have, because this is really both some of their strongest gifts. So in our little description box below, we have links for Shawn and also for Third Eye Salon. So you can go down there and check those out. And Miss Linda, are you cool to be multitasking with comments today?
I'm already multitasking with comments today.
Ah, you're such a gift. All right. Thank you for doing that. She's got that down pat. And you can also, if you want to support Third Eye Salon, we do have a link down below, so you can buy us a coffee, and it just helps us with the show and supporting us. And if you love what you're experiencing, we always invite people to like and subscribe, to share our shows, and also to hit the notification bell if you really want to make sure you don't miss anything, because sometimes when we go live, it's not always on time. Sometimes there's some tech issues, but not today. So amen to that. Now, for the people that already know Shawn, this is going to be something you already all know, but for like the people who are new to him, maybe in the US, I'm going to read the bio so that way they have a better sense of him. But literally, if you Google his name anywhere on YouTube, you'll see videos of him left and right. So Shawn Leonard is a heart-centered Canadian Aboriginal Indigenous Spirit Talker of the Mi'kmaq tribe, aka a psychic medium. Gifted the name White Eagle Spirit Talker by a Mi'kmaq elder, Shawn has been working as a professional psychic for over 20 years. Shawn's approach to working with the spirit world, whether it's in his personal readings, live events, workshops, radio and TV appearances, or teaching in his Spirit Talker tribe, is always heart-centered and in love and in authenticity. At 16 years old, just 1 year after losing his father to a massive heart attack, Shawn received a visitation and a message from his father in spirit. We all have a purpose, and one day you will help people understand their lives and bridge the gap between the physical world and the spirit world. In the 3 decades since that night, Shawn has honed his remarkable abilities as a spirit talker medium and his connection with the spirit world. His gift has allowed him to help people all over the world as he communicates with departed loved ones, spirits, and spirit guides. The insights they share help us better understand our journey here on Earth and provide healing for many people struggling with grief. So Shawn is also the star and host of the APTN TV show Spirit Talker, author of the book, The Language of Spirit, and he's the founder of the Spirit Talker Tribe online course. So again, welcome, Shawn.
Well, thank you for having me. That's quite the spiel that you have to put up. You know, you're old when you got that, you have to say all this. Soon, I'm going to have to give a short Coles Notes version of a book or something just to, as I progress through this work through the years, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to say when you start accumulating your history. You know, it's a lot for people to take in and then absorb because it is so powerful, and we don't want to downplay any of these things. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, even though your turning point was at 16, you were always a psychic kid. That was what I picked up when I talked. And I just wanted to know if, what was your experience as a psychic kid? Because Linda was a psychic kid too.
I think we're all born psychic. I think there's not one person that's brought into this world. We're all spirit having a human experience, and then eventually the human experience takes over and we forget that we're spirit first. And, for me, I mean, there's been little hints throughout my life, that there was something else going on, or that there was something greater than the physical reality that we all reside in or that we experience each and every day. But I remember, having lots of questions. I was raised Catholic, even though I'm Mi'kmaq, an Indigenous person, very proud Mi'kmaq person in Canada. Oh. But, as the culture has shifted, especially when I was young, and it started to grow into more, more into my culture itself. I've kind of moved away from Catholicism, and no offense to anyone who is Catholic or practices. My mom is still very devout and knows who I am and what I do, and celebrates me and what I do as well. But I've been growing up, I think the first experience that I can really recall that I would say, hey, that was a little bit different, is I remember my great-grandparents when I was a little boy visiting me after they passed away. And I loved them. They used to come visit me. They were from Newfoundland, and they would come to Nova Scotia and spend some time. And we'd go there for every summer, pretty much every Christmas. And then after they passed, I mean, really, when you're young, do you understand what passing or death or, whatever word you wish to call it is? But for me, my grandparents would still visit me. And it startled me. It really did startle me, because even though I felt there was no fear, it was just, there's this uneasy feeling that you wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and your great grandparents are having a conversation at the end of your bed, or you can hear them talking in the room and moving about and all this. And it made me feel uncomfortable. And so I would tell my mom, and my mom would say, they just love you and they're visiting you. And she tried to make it as normal as possible. And I said, well, that's great. I said, as long, and then it just became a bit normal. And over time, I remember them being there one night. I pretended I was asleep, and because I didn't want them to know that I was knowing that they were there all the time. So I would just pretend I was asleep and keep my eyes closed. And then somebody ran their fingers through my hair, and it was like, oh crap! I hope that's mom. I hope that's mom. I hope that's mom. And then I had to pull the sheets down a bit, and I look at the door, it's closed. And man, I was terrified because I didn't know they could touch me, because I understood what my mom was saying. Hey, these are your family, they love you, they're visiting you, but I didn't know they could actually do anything physical. So I did a backflip off my bed. I don't even think my feet touched the floor. I was out the door in my mom's room, and I said, Mom, I don't care how much they love me, but they gotta go. I can't have them like talking in my room. And she says, well, just tell them to go. And she says, have you tried that? I'm like, no. So I went back in my room. I said, Nan, Pop, I love you, but you're scaring me. You're scaring me. And I'd appreciate it if you didn't visit me like this anymore. And they've never actually come back in that form again. So since that day, all it took was just saying, hey, this is making me scared. Because they were just visiting because they love me. I kind of regret, almost being so fearful.
How old were you?
Pardon, I was probably about 8, 10.
Oh, wow. So this is happening even at that age. Okay.
Yeah. And then, I, I was like any other child, when I was young. I'm 48. It seems like I'm old now, but, we didn't have, a lot of TV time. We only had 2 channels when I was a kid, and
Mm.
we were pretty much like chucked outside and said, come back. So my whole experience growing up was, in the woods or out playing or doing things out in nature all the time. And I became very connected to nature. Maybe it's like innate in my culture, but I started to have a spiritual connection with the trees, the river, the rocks, the wind.
Mm.
Even at some point, I thought I could talk to the wind. I don't know if it was listening, but it responded to what I said.
Wow.
And I even freaked some friends out when I talked to the wind, and I would say wind blow and things like this, and it would blow. I think it was probably just a coincidence, but it was. I felt connected to something larger. Could I define it? No. I mean, what child or young person could probably define, everything that we've forgotten since we've entered this physical form? It's kind of left us a little piece at a time, and as we grow, if we're open to it, if we're available, if we invite it, it can start to you can start to rediscover who you truly are. You can rediscover your spirit, your connection to spirit. You can rediscover that, the understanding of who you are prior to this form, this physical form.
Mm. Well, one thing that just strikes me, there's several things that strike me here. One is that your mom was like, it's just your nan and pop, like, it's your grandparents, as opposed to being like, oh, honey, you're making that up. So there was something in her history, and it's I'm saying it wrong. Would you say the name
It's
of your
Mi'kmaq.
Mi'kmaq? All
Yeah.
right, so thank you, and pardon my white boy pronunciation.
That's all right.
So is your mom on the Mi'kmaq tribe? Is she part of that? That's where
She is.
okay. So
But
for
my
her,
grandmom also lost her culture and the language, and wasn't like my grandmom was full Mi'kmaq and lost her culture and her language, and married very young in life, and was raised Catholic herself. And so a lot of our faiths, our beliefs, our connection to the Great Spirit, the Creator, and the spirit that surrounds us all was lost.
yeah,
And it's been I do feel like spirit wants to discover itself through us all, whatever culture you are. It will
yes,
find a way to express itself through you in life. But I've been on also the search, not just learning about who I am prior to this form, but also on a search of discovery of my ancestors, because our ancestors are those spirits that are with us, whether you call them spirit guides, angels, or whoever. I mean, they're still connected to us in many forms, and often those people that are watching over us from the other side are not just from this lifetime, but many lifetimes.
Yeah. So I would like you to speak to that. That's capturing my attention at the moment, even though I had like 5 other questions before that. So when you are connecting with people in your work, do you see the psychically, do you see that person's, like if you were giving me a reading, let's say, I can kind of ground it a little bit, would you happen to see just the person that is coming through, or do you psychically see the guides, the ancestors? Like what shows up for you when you read people that you maybe aren't sharing, but you're still seeing it psychically?
Well, predominantly, I just see people's ancestors that they love, who they've lost currently in this lifetime. Sometimes a guide may appear or make themselves known to me, but only if they feel like that you need to have that connection. Many people, as we live life, I mean, losing somebody is the first opportunity to look at life differently.
Wow.
Even though you've never, to think beyond of that communication with the person that you love, it is like often starts with the loss of somebody. And then you have to think bigger. You think, okay, is this, you may be raised, Christian or Buddhist or whatever it may be, but, is there something there that is trying to communicate to us? Is there something around us? And So when people come to me, it's typically a lot of people who have lost people recently in their lifetime. They're not coming to me typically to say, hey, I want to connect to my ancestors or my spirit guides. That doesn't mean sometimes people would not do that. They would. Depending where you are on your spiritual growth, where you are on your journey. Maybe some people would come to me and not feel the desire or need to connect to people they've loved because they have several times know they're with them and around them, and now they're looking for a further deepening of that connection. It's like, well, if I know my mom is there, if my grandmom's there, who else is there with me? Who else is there for me? Who else is beyond in the spiritual realm that is with me than just my mom who passed away?
This is
And the further you go, the further it kind of reveals itself. The more you're open to it, the more you converse with it, the more that you have conversations with spirit, the more spirit will reach out and reveal itself in many profound ways. Whether it's many lifetimes, the connections to those people that you've lived through many lifetimes, or what you may be learning in each and every lifetime, like life themes. Current patterns that you've learned in this life, but you've learned in other lives, or karma that you're still working through, trying to figure out why you're going through this or that or whatever. So it just gets richer and deeper, I guess, the further you go into it.
Well, and that's what I'm getting with you is that, like, even with this thing with a child where your parents would, like, dump you outside, go have fun, be alive by 5 when we have dinner, like, still be alive, come back, and and it's like you were able to develop that relationship, like, because that was really fostered just in it was just there for you having this connection with spirit because you're connecting with nature. Like, what a great analogy. If you want to connect more with spirit, connect more with nature. If you want to connect more with yourself and your ancestors, connect with nature. Take this opportunity of this loss and start asking questions. Like, it's what I'm getting is that, like, the spirit world is always looking for an inroad to get into your life and for you to have a connection with them. Spirit's always trying to find a way of saying, hey, I'm here. Did you want to know more? Okay, so you connected with your mom, but there's a lot of other people here that are rooting for you. Would you like to know more? That's what I'm getting from this, is that there's always that desire from the other side for us to reestablish our lost connection.
Yeah, I mean, even the forest has a spirit.
Yes.
It has a spirit.
The wind, you were talking to the wind, freaking out your friends. The wind has a spirit.
Exactly. So it's deeper and more than just this human experience. And there's all kinds of other plants and animals. I mean, we're all energy that have been expressed into the world in form, one way or another. And each is having an experience. And who are we to judge one experience over another? That would be ego if we were to think that hey, ours is the best experience, right? But our pets that we love, that we lost. I actually have people come to me sometimes that want to just talk to their pets.
Oh yeah.
Because they've lost mom and dad, but their real family was their 3 dogs or 4 dogs, or their 2 cats and their gerbil, or that they love so dearly. Love transcends the humanity. It's everywhere around us, and it's in every form, whether it's plant or animal or even humanity itself. But it's greater than we can even imagine.
Well, let's take that and pivot. How do animals, our pets and animal totems cross over in terms of the parallels? When someone has an animal totem, first of all, you tell us, what's an animal totem in your experience, and why are they important for people to learn about?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily feel it's important unless it's important to you.
Sure. Yeah.
And they may reach out to you trying to make a connection because they could be like, I like to say they're helping us in one form or another with either a spiritual strength or a strength in the way we approach a certain situation. I have 2 spirit animal totems myself, and they revealed themselves to me. Of course, it's very atypical of Indigenous person to have an ego, that's one of my totems. They revealed themselves to me through the years and as a connection to me, and I've had literally hundreds of feathers, eagle feathers come into my life, and I've had a
Wow.
wing come in. My life is a little weird with eagles sometimes, but but that's because I'm open to it, and I talk to the eagles, and they hear me, and they have a connection to me. So they give me some of their tools to allow me to serve and help other people.
What are those
So,
tools? What does it look like? What do the eagles say to you?
well, the tools would be like a feather, so that I would be able to clear or move energy like they do through the sky. So I would use the feather to smudge. I would use the feather to clear people's auras if they were carrying emotional energy. So I would use the spirit of the eagle to cleanse their spirit form and body if there was blockages of energy. Um, and I also have another totem, which is a polar bear. And I'll tell you the difference between the totems, because there's a power animal totem and a spirit totem. And for me, I didn't even know I had a polar bear connection until probably about 3 years ago, maybe 2. And I had a dream. And in my dream, I wasn't, putting out to have a particular dream, or I never ever felt drawn to polar bears in any way. I thought they were incredible animals, like they're just massive, like huge amounts of power and energy. And I had this dream where I was in a field, and there was like 7 people in this field. And for whatever reason, I was running across this field, and I couldn't get away from these bears, or not these bears, these people.
Okay.
And they were kind of, I couldn't really make out who they were. They looked like shadows. They could have been anybody. Could have been my ex-relationships. It could have been anything. They could represent different things that I felt like I had to run from in some way, or I had to try to escape. So anyway, I look across the field, and I see 7 polar bears. I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm writing from these guys. Now I'm going to run from polar bears too. So I said, I can probably outrun them. I'm not going to outrun the bears. I'm just going to run, have you heard the phrase that if you don't have to run, you just have to run faster than the other guys.
Right, you don't have to outrun.
So I'm running,
faster.
and they start running with me, and I'm like trying to get past them because they'll get them first, right? But I couldn't seem to outrun them, and hence the dream, like trying to. It was symbolic that I was trying to get away from something, right, or people, or things. And all 7 polar bears ran past me, and I just stopped in the field, and I'm like, okay, they didn't. I was bracing myself to die in the dream, but they all ran past me, and those 7 people that were in the field, the polar bears just jumped on, and as they jumped on them, they just kind of disintegrated. There was really no like gore or anything like that. It was just like they just vanished, but the polar bear vanished too. Oh, and then I woke up and I said, oh my God, the polar bear is protecting me. The polar bear is helping me. He's helping me have the courage to face the things that I was trying to avoid in life. But not only is he helping me, he's protecting me and helping, take some of these situations out of my life. And I woke up and I felt this profound connection to the polar bear that I've never had in my whole life. So then I thought, I'd love to have a symbol. I have so many symbols of eagles that have come into my life, and an elder's gifted me a wing for smudging and such. But I wanted a connection to the polar bear. And I looked on eBay and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll look to see if there's any claws. And then I started looking and I thought, this is bad. This is wrong. I mean, I don't know how these claws were harvested. I don't know who got them. I don't know the intention. And I said, no, this would be wrong to pay for this. So I prayed. I just said to Creator, I said, Spirit, I talked to the polar bear. I said, if I'm meant to have a connection to you, I need you to send me a claw. I want a claw, a polar bear claw. I know it confirmed that you're with me in my life. But I need to know that you're one of my totems, that you're meant to help me. And I feel like you're my power totem, but I need to have a claw. And that's all I said. I spoke it out loud. And I let it go. And then I forgot. And then I'll show you, but I had somebody send me a package in the mail and said, hey, I got 2 claws from an Innu hunter up in Labrador that they killed this bear, and I have 2. And I thought, who could I gift the other one to? and I thought of you. So I got it in the mail, and she didn't tell me she was sending it, and I opened it up, and it had the letter and the story behind the bear and how it was killed, and I thought, oh my God, I mean, I didn't tell anybody, no soul, no, except the Great Spirit and my guides, to bring this into my life. And so I thank the Creator, I thank Spirit for hearing my prayer, my words. And that's where I could go off on a tangent with that, but we'll go back to that. But anyhow, since then, I had another friend come to me and gift me a little piece of fur this big, of polar bear fur.
Oh, wow.
She says, I felt like I have the connection to the bear as well. She says, but I feel like you need to have a piece of polar bear fur.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And I said, okay, this is really cool. And then I told her the story and such like this. And then maybe about 4 months ago, I had a lady call me and say, can I get a reading from you? And I said, well, I really don't do personal readings anymore. I'm just too busy in life. And I just got so much going on with the TV show, the book, and everything else. And Spirit Talker Tribe, my online course. And then so I said, well, she goes, you know what? I actually have a polar bear rug down in my basement, and I'm wondering who I should give it to. She said, I know you said you're not doing readings, but if I gifted you a polar bear rug, would you do a reading for me? I'm like, all right.
Spirit's like, yes, say yes, it's us. Say
so
yes.
I did. Right now it's at a tax Germany shop to get rebacked, but
wow.
So
that's intense.
My not was only my prayer just answered once, but I think, and this is my theory on it, it's probably going to be answered 7 times.
Ooh.
Because there was
a lot of polar bear.
Right. And this is where it gets deeper and cooler, because my life is a little strange already. This will probably be another chapter in a new book down the road.
Yes.
But those 7 bears that I had no physical connection to or had no knowing of in my dream, I feel like 7 of those bears are the spirits of all the animals, the pieces that are coming to me.
Boom. I just got chills. Yep. They're like, wow. And isn't it interesting that like, there's this whole transition of like life to death, but when it's done within a natural cycle, it doesn't hold that same trauma as someone who's hunting for sport versus someone who's hunting for, it's part of their life. Like it's part of their natural lifestyle connected to nature. I wanna pause and give the mic over to Miss Linda and also Jillian. I know they both got questions. And so Miss Linda, if you want to go first, and then we'll hand the mic to Miss Jillian.
I have the entire animal piece. Makes me laugh because I had years ago, I kept tripping. I trip everywhere I go. And I could not figure out why I was tripping. There's nothing for me to trip on. And I actually had someone who was an energy worker say, I have never, it's like Pigpen, your animals. Did you have these 2 dogs and this cat? You described them to a T. They're always around your feet. Do you trip a lot?
Wow.
So she said, I've asked them to because they just are everywhere around you. You look like Pigpen. They're just walking in front of you. They just want your acknowledgement that they're there.
Wow.
And to reach down and pet them every once in a while. And I still catch myself just reaching down to pet the air, just unconsciously. And I haven't tripped like that since she had that time. So absolutely, I think they come through, and mine happened to trip me because I wasn't seeing that. And
they were gonna find a way to get your attention one way or another, right?
That's right. My question is, and I'm seeing it in the conversations as well. Do you call in your spirit animals? Do you ask them who they are? Mine came through experiences in my life where they showed up for me. And so I'm curious.
Okay. Well, what I would tell people is like, I didn't know the eagle was my totem or the polar bear. But what I would suggest for people to, be open to experiencing, or I would say I would talk to spirit. Always, this is where everything starts, is a conversation. that you have with your words from your heart without fear, where you start speaking the spirit and you say, you know, great spirit, guides, angels, my ancestors, whatever word you want to use, it's really irrelevant because they're all connected to the same source. But just say, I would love to know who my spirit animal totem is, or my power animal totem. And I'm inviting you to send it to me in my life, to help me be aware and make it obvious, so obvious that there's no way that I could deny it. And then just put that out there and just make it so. And so it is. And thank you for hearing my prayer. And that's all you have to say is just words. And just speak from your heart of what it is that you wish to come into your life, that what you need help with, what you need guidance with, what you need, you know, what you're searching for. And when you start having conversations, that's like really like prayer. Whatever culture you come from, whether it's indigenous or Buddhist or whatever, there's words that you're saying outside and putting outside of yourself from your heart. I mean, and I know typically what people think with prayer is that, you know, I have to say, you know, the Our Father, you know, or I have to say, you know, the St. Francis prayer. And those are great prayers. But are they coming from you in your heart? The best prayer, the words that comes from you, that you speak to spirit outside of yourself, that you put out there, that are coming from your heart center, your own spirit. And that's really what bridges the world in the gap between here and the other side. And that's when you're heard. And that's when, you know, when you start to realize you're being heard, everything starts to align in your life. You know, the right person shows up, the right circumstance, the right, you know, the guy with the TV show deal or whatever. It's just like, it's kind of, it gets a little scary a little bit. I mean, be careful what you wish for, really. But you know, you ask for it. That's what I say. But do it with love, without fear, for sure. Don't, and you know, I don't think anybody should be just going anything, you know, I mean, if you love money, that's great. But I mean, that's just a means to an end. I mean, it's more about, you know, how may I be of service, or how this could help me to help other people. It's really just inviting something that you can bring for yourself that you can give and help others with.
And it's go ahead, Linda.
I was just going to say, I think that for me, the key was taking away that thing that prayer is a thing that you do to being a thing that you are.
Ooh.
And being in that state of mind, that gratitude in every way that naturally comes out in your life, that brings you that synchronicity when you are the prayer in your being.
Wow.
Which is good. I mean, it's you need to be a prayer in life, but don't ever feel like you can't have a conversation with spirit.
Oh, I have conversations all the time. All the time.
Is talking and knowing that you're being heard, and knowing that people are responding to you, whether it's no or yes or maybe or wait sometime, because sometimes those are the answers. But and it's not always asking for something either. It's like you're saying, it's like, you know, to experience forgiveness or to experience gratitude, you know, you have to be out there being grateful in life, because you can't experience something you don't have. So you have to have something to be out there experiencing it. So it's like, once you realize that you have it, then that becomes the living prayer each day, for sure.
You start to acknowledge it, and the more you acknowledge it, the more it expands and more it becomes your experience, just like your relationship with nature. Jillian, get in here, lady. It's already 30 minutes in, and I feel poorly that your voice has not been heard, because I know your questions are just kick ass.
Oh, it's all good. I've been enjoying listening. I do have a few questions. So, how did you learn how to differentiate regular thoughts versus clairvoyant images and clairaudient messages? Like, what did that difference look like to you when you started to tap into those aspects of spirit communication?
Well, with spirit communication, I mean, it's pretty easy for me to distinguish my own thoughts, because I'm creating those thoughts. I know I'm creating those thoughts. I'm not, but when spirit's talking to me, it's thoughts that are being infused into my mind. The conversation, it's like the image is being put in there. It's not like I've created the image is being placed in there. So I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to say with this? And then I just trust. And then I just, you know, because spirit talks, and I think You know, I have a book called The Language of Spirit, which I'll hold up right here.
Yes.
And you know what I'm going to do with the book too, maybe with all your viewers, if you do some type of contest, and I'll give a book where I sign it and I mail it to them.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Right.
I would love
And
that.
so I'll send it to them in the mail. You just give me their address and I'll send it myself, and I'll sign it and write a little note in there.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so nice.
thank you, Shawn.
But the conversation of spirit is, it comes through in a multitude of ways, you know, whether it's clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, or clairambience. There's so many, all the clairs are fancy words for just, you know, you see, inner seeing, inner feeling, inner hearing, inner knowing, could be just a smell, a taste, things like this. But spirit can communicate through all those things all at once. Sometimes it could be just one thing, and then it might be another. But then when you realize that you're receiving, and then what you receive, you perceive, and then you give. So you have to perceive, because then there's an element of receiving the information from spirit and knowing it's outside of you, because it's not something you have intentionally put in your mind to think about. It's now something that's being put in there, whether it's a person, place, or object, or whatever it is. And you just trust, whether you know what it means or not. Because I don't know everything, nobody knows everything. It's really just boiling down to trusting, because spirit can speak in a multitude of ways, in the sense, even when they show you something, it could be very literal, could be figurative. And then, so if I'm not sure, because again, sometimes I'm not sure with what spirit means, most times I am, because it comes with practice and knowledge of working and understanding how they give these messages. But then if it's literal, then you just say it to the best of your ability. And sometimes what you think it means, it might mean something totally different to that person. And you just have to let go of the outcome, because we're just the middle person. We're the medium. We're the in-between. We're the one that receives. But spirit knows, if you say that, they'll know this, because they know what they're thinking too.
Right.
And we're not thinking their thoughts. We're receiving thoughts from spirit. We're receiving communication, and then giving it in such a way, with kindness, compassion, love, and then hopefully helping people heal, or give guidance or direction for their life.
Right on. Awesome. That's great. And you were talking earlier about physical sensations. Do you still get that from spirit?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
do you get touched? And because it's mostly when I meditate, I get a lot of physical contact that way. Like, I've had my arms grabbed, I've had, winds blowing over my face, blowing into my hair. I've had my arm lifted up, put back down. And when that happens to you, not so much now, because you're probably very used to it, but when it first started happening after the incident, when you were a child, more into an adult and getting into this field, did it still freak you out? Like, was there a processing with that?
Well, it doesn't scare me anymore. Not at all. I mean, I realize that, there's all different levels of spirit too, right? There's like earthbound spirits, which there's very few, but most spirits are moved into the light and can communicate to anywhere that they are. But depending on who I feel it is, my approach is the same. I just love them.
Yeah.
Because there's just no fear, because they're just people at different stages of life. It's just like when you walk out into physical life. How do you approach people? If there was some guy you think is a little shady, would you approach them with fear, or would you approach them with kindness and compassion and love? Because maybe that's what's missing in the life, and maybe that's what had led them to the choices that they have to where they are. So I still would be kind to them. If they're not kind to me, I just move away from them, and I still send them love, because that's all we can do. But when it comes to spirit, I remember when I first got grabbed by a spirit, and not to make it sound scary, because I was really intentionally trying to connect to my spirit guide, because I remember having a guide as a little boy, which is another story. But anyhow, I wanted to reconnect to him. His name was Sam, and I hadn't seen him in years. And I remember the day he left me when I was a little boy. He just he had a little conversation with me as I played the cards on the floor, and he said, "Shawn, I'm always going to be with you, but you're not going to be able to see or hear me the way you do anymore." And he was all dressed in white and had kind of dirty blonde curly hair with blue eyes, and good looking fellow, and definitely not indigenous anyway, but he was still part of my spirit team. And I said, okay. And then he just looked at me and I saw a big white light, boom, he was gone. That was the last time I saw him. And I cried for like a day, I think.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he was like my best friend.
Right.
Where's my best friend,
Right.
Joe? He's my best friend. So as I get in my 20s, very early 20s, I said, hey, I want to reconnect to Sam again. I really want to connect to him. And I started doing meditations and I did a meditation and I had no luck. So I started doing it every single day. I wasn't giving up. I'm gonna like make a connection. I said, Sam, I know you're there, man. You gotta reach out and just connect to me somehow. Just let me know you're there. So after like 2 weeks of doing the meditation, somebody grabbed my arm and I felt their fingers and I felt their hand. And I was in meditation. It kind of woke me up, but I was startled, but it was like a little sparkler went off inside me. Like everything was like flaring,
Oh.
it was just
Yep.
like, I would say I was being enlightened because it was like a sparkler went off in my body. It was like I bridged the world between this world and the other again. And he reached out and grabbed me and I felt him. I felt the breeze. I felt his presence. I felt him standing beside me. And I knew it was Sam, my guy, because I had spoken to him over and over and pleading with him and not giving up. And then he finally reached out and made a connection. And it was startling, but exciting at the same time. I was like, oh my God, this is, and that's when I just wanted to connect more and do more. And it just like made me more excited to like, what else can happen? What else can come through? And since then, a very big part of my work, being a medium, as one of the conversations that spirit can do is do things to you physically. It is in a way, and not in the way that you would think, not like necessarily grabbing your hand, but they can put pressure in my heart. They can make me go blind in my eye. I can go deaf in my ear for a second. I can feel a stab down my neck. I can feel like a bullet hole in my lung.
Wow.
And the more I've done this work, I've realized, why do I feel this? Like, so as progressing as a medium, as a spirit talker, as I like to refer to myself, is that they're really like telling me something. They're telling me about their journey, who they are, what they went through, what caused them the past. And then when I started to trust these things that happened to me, when I was with clients and connecting to people in spirit, they started to do more and more things started to happen. And then I started to develop a vocabulary of what this means, what that means, what's going on, why they're doing this or that. Now I'm down to the point where I can tell you which valve in the heart had the blockage. And it's just like,
wow.
So they're like, not only do I feel a heart problem, but I can feel, it's the third valve up on the left side here. It's right in here. That's where the blockage was. And I could see it, but I could feel it too.
Oh,
And
that's amazing.
Right. So it's just, it's just spirit having a conversation. Do they have a blocked heart and spirit? No.
Right.
But what are they trying to tell me? That your dad had passed away and had heart issue and he had a blocked valve in his third artery and things like this. So they're trying to give me validating information so no one could possibly know. And sometimes they tell me things that nobody does know in that sense, so that you'll know that's really them that is coming through.
Wow. That is cool.
Yeah, that's really refining it. I want to pass it back to Linda, but I also want to make sure, did you have another follow-up question that you had, Jillian?
Oh, not so much with that. It's just I'm with Shawn. I love this stuff. Like, I'll take the physical contact. I think it's the most thrilling. Oh, it's such a thrill. Such a thrill. And I found too, once I started practicing more and developing my abilities, then it would come in stronger and more often. And it's a thrill.
You guys are helping me feel more comfortable with it, because honestly, I've always been like, don't touch me. Don't. Like, I've had experiences of being touched and I'm like, don't do it. So you guys are helping me be a little more calm about that and not take it so seriously. So bless you both. Miss Linda, did you have a question, or was it an audience?
I do. I have a question. So my first experiences with that when I was reading for people was in actual training, and the person training stopped my actual reading because I was taking on the physical traits so much. One of them was a heart condition, and she could see my I was turning pale. I had no shield whatsoever, and I was just taking that on. And so she actually stopped it right dead in its tracks and did some Reiki on me. How do you do protection so you don't take those on and so that they're a passing whisper for you?
Well, then they'll never, like spirit that's coming through, I want everybody to know they're never going to hurt you. They can't, they would, if they're in the light, they're not going to hurt you in any way. You may be very empathetic to the energy that's being impressed upon you, but they're not going to hurt you in a way that you're going to be harmed.
Right.
But if you feel uncomfortable with something, again, conversation. Because even though spirit's putting thoughts and feelings in you, is like, spirit, I understand that you are telling me this about the heart, but just so you know, I'm not comfortable with you putting that much pressure in this spot or there. Do it more subtly, just strong with the pressure, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. But you set the boundaries, and spirit, again, coming from light in the other side, and love and compassion, they're going to hear you, and your guides know, and that's why they're your guides, because they're working with you. They're the people that are watching over you. So when a spirit is connecting you and say, listen, if the guide would then say, you don't need to put that much pressure on his heart. He's already spoken to us. Just make sure you know that he doesn't need that much pressure to understand what it is that you're saying. It could be subtle and he'll still understand it. So it's just really saying to them what you're good with, what you're not good with. And I mean, there's no ego there, like saying, oh, I'm really going to make him feel this. It's not like that. They come only from love. And if there's an earthbound who you feel is doing something like that, then you come from love, because that will change it, because the earthbound spirit that is not moved into the light is afraid of your light, always. And many people have even dreams where there's a dark thing chasing them, where they can't get away from something. I always tell them, face it. Face what it is that you're running from, and love it. So if there's a dark spirit you feel in your dream, or a demon, or whatever you want to make it out to be, because it's a figment of your creation in that realm of the astral world, face it and love it, and then see what happens. And anything dark, anything lower level, I mean, will avoid you like the plague. They'll run from you. They absolutely will run from you. And I've done that. I've been in a dream where I've like trying to get away from something, and I'm running like for my dear life. And this thing is like this big black shadow. And I'm like, hey, why the hell am I running? And I turn around and it stops and looks at me. He's like, come here. I'm going to give you a big hug. It's like, what? And I'm like, come here. I want to love you. And he's like running the hell away from me. So I turned it, and it's really, and I stopped choosing fear. I start choosing compassion. Even in my dreams, I've been able to kind of shift my approach. And I think if other people become more aware, conscious of that, it would change. You would not have any fear in regards to anything anymore.
I am so in love. Let's talk about dreams. That's actually the thing I want to talk about next, and you segued right into it. Because I mean, you talked about dreams at the beginning of our conversation, where the polar bears are now polar bears. I'm going to digress for just 1 second. Are they your power animal, or are they a spirit totem? Like, what's a power
animal totem? There's different spirit totems. There's a spirit that works with your spirituality in the spiritual work that you do in life. And there's one, they're still spiritual, but one exemplifies power and protection. Okay. So one is working on your behalf to help you in life. If you're going through something, I would call in the power of the polar bear. I say, all polar bear spirit, I need your help. I'm going through a difficult time. I need your protection to watch over me and keep me safe. Will they attack anything and tear it to pieces? No. But will they come from light and love too. All animals do. And they, as a guide, an animal guide, will then, if they see darkness in your life, maybe just as I just told you about the lower level spirits, they may create a path for you so you don't even have to deal with them. Ooh. So, and I experienced this in my life, because when I used to do a lot of paranormal, like earthbound spirit, because I wanted to learn about all levels of spirits. And when I was doing a lot of like earthbound spirit connections and getting out in the world to trying to understand why do these spirits who are outside and communicating somewhat differently, because When I saw an earthbound, I could hear them speaking to me, just like a person. I could feel them outside of me moving in the room. They could push me or throw something at me. So they were spirit, but they were still very much on the earth plane. And then there was spirit who I could connect to anywhere. And they only come from kindness, compassion, love, right? So I wanted to understand the difference. So as years have gone on through my life, now I actually have trouble connecting to ghosts or earthbound spirits because most of them avoid me now. They do. I've heard them run from me. I've actually heard them running from me. Like, it's kind of silly, but I don't, and it's funny because there's an island in Nova Scotia called Tancook Island. And I went over there and just with some friends and we were in this little, just off the ferry, and there's like literally 100 people live on this island. And there's this little shack, fishing shack, that somebody was selling like women's clothing and knickknacks and different things. It was kind of a cool little space. And I walked into this little fishing shack, and I'm not like walking in going, hey, I'm psychic medium Shawn Leonard. I don't do any of that. Right? I don't have to announce myself where I walk around everywhere I go. That's ridiculous, right? So, but I hear this guy go, oh my God, he's gonna know all my secrets. And I heard him run out of the building. I'm like, what the hell? I said, you guys hear that guy? They're like, no. I said, some guy just ran the hell out of here, said I was going to know all the secrets about this guy. I didn't even know he was there. I didn't even know he was there until he spoke and ran. And then I vibed it out a bit more. And it turns out there was a man who unfortunately had killed his children and himself probably like 20 years ago within maybe 2 blocks of that location. So this man is still there. And so if I go there, because I would help him if I could.
Right.
If I could, I would help him. I would speak to him. I would have kindness, compassion. Love is unconditional, right?
Yes.
And anyway, I can't even get to speak to him because he just avoids me like the plague.
Right.
And I wish I could, because if I would try to help him if I could.
What I get from that is that like you anchor heaven to earth, and it's part of you being an earth angel, and you showing up as an earth angel is like, oh no, that means going into the light where there could be judgment, because ghosts or spirits often have this thing of like, well, I don't go into the light because once I go into the light, then God will judge me and I'll be sent to hell. Because when you're earthbound, you still have all of those beliefs that you did as a human because you haven't crossed over and had your mind blown,
Right. I mean, there is karma. There is. I mean,
there is.
It on the other side.
But we're the ones who are
physical lifetimes.
Right. But we're also the ones giving ourselves our karma, saying, yep, I need to learn that one better. Boy, whoa, I really messed that one up. I'm going to come back and, try that one again. But let's pivot over into dreams, because I just can tell that we're going to have you back on the show again, Shawn. I hope you'll come back and visit us again.
Sure. I would absolutely love to come back on.
Okay, beautiful. Because I just feel like there's so many rooms we can go into. And I know that Jillian's got questions. I also want to get to ETs later, but we'll do that in a bit. I'm going to make sure we do that, Jillian. I loved your ET questions from the other night. So let's talk about dreams, and let's talk about what your experience is of dreams. Like, do you do lucid dreamings, or do you do like a dream analysis after you wake up? Like, obviously you're able to come somewhat lucid in your dreams and be able to say, oh, this is a scary monster. I'm going to turn around and love it. Like, that's a conscious choice in a woken dream state.
Yeah, that's absolute lucid dreaming. You become lucid in the dream of, like, instead of letting the dream control your situation and environment, that you take control of the dream itself. That's pretty much the premise of lucid dreaming. But there's different types of dreaming, and I do a whole class on it in Spirit Talker Tribe. Mm-hmm. And it's one it's a favorite for everybody typically, because I get slammed with dreams, because for the whole month I teach people about dreams, and then I analyze dreams in helping people understand what that means, or what is this saying, what is it saying to you, because all of our dreams are speaking to us.
Yeah. And
there's like typically what a lot of people have is what you would call a fear release dream. So you're in a dream, typically would be a house or a building of some sort, because that's symbolic of how yourself, and then it's how it's about what you feel inside yourself. So you can't get away from the monster. You can't get away from this person. You can't get away from the person that keeps like making you feel awkward. So you're stuck with them in a sense. So no matter where you go, they're there. And it's like you can't get away from them. But that could be your boss in life. That could be your sister-in-law. Who knows? And no offense to sister-in-laws, I have a great sister-in-law, just by the way. But you know, it could be any numerous of people who you're not dealing with well in life. And in your dream, because you're consciously not able to release the energy that you're carrying within your spirit. So when you're in spirit, in the astral world, because that's where we go in, we're astral traveling through this world, that you have these self-created experiences with the help of spirit and your guides sometimes. And sometimes your guides will be the people in the dream helping you, pointing you, taking to this place or that place. Sometimes they have no face, your guides, because you're not there to connect to them. They're there to show you something. And so you're like, okay, you know, they feel like a friend and they're taking you over here, but you have to face this. And it's that boss that you can't avoid. Although you've changed them from the boss to the evil bear that's running after you in the woods, you know, and the bear could be his animal totem. And you're using that representation of him because he's grouchy, he's a bit, you know, moody, you know, it could be many reasons why you converted this man to a bear. But then you're trying to escape him. But really it is you're trying to release the emotions that you've been carrying because of that person. So you have to continually face it until you release it. So that's what I would call a release dream. There's also a wish dream. And a wish dream would be in the sense like where in your dream, you're driving around in your Corvette that you've always wanted. Not that I've always wanted a Corvette. It'd probably be like a side-by-side for me driving through the woods or something like that. But whatever it would be like something you're fulfilling some desire that you so desperately wanted, but weren't able, you feel like you can't experience in life. So you create a dream in the sense to have that expression of fulfilling that emotion, that desire. So that would be a wish dream. And there's also like a prophecy dream where you would actually, and sometimes you can even have a mixture of dreams, like a fear dream, but then turns into a prophecy dream. Because you could be like facing something, next thing you know, you're seeing some event happen that you can't figure out why you're seeing it. But then next week on the news, you hear about the fire that was in this building that was downtown, and you dreamt of a fire in a building. And it's symbolic, but we're tuning into the unconscious of things that are going on. So that's a prophetic dream, but there's other dreams as well.
Mm-hmm. And so when you're doing lucid dream work, do you do anything where you are like you set an intention maybe before you go to bed saying, I really would like to connect with my spirit guide XYZ and this person and be able to connect with them? Or how do you approach lucid dreaming in terms of your spiritual work that you give into the world?
Well, you know, it's up to spirit, you know, because you can't create these things sometimes. In my experience, you can invite it, but you have to be patient because sometimes it just doesn't happen on cue. So you have to just like ask for it. So, you know, I'm looking, you know, to connect to my guide in my dream. And, you know, when I'm dreaming, you know, I want my spirit guide to connect to me so that I can know and have a connection and conversation. And it might take months, but I would ask every day. I would ask every day. And it's not that, it could be that my sleep isn't in the right cycle, I'm not in the right frame of mind, because we sleep in different sleep cycles where we're only in REM for short periods of time, depending how much caffeine you had, how much food you had, how much sleep you've had. There's so many factors that can go into where you would not be in the right space or place to actually have the experience that spirit wants to give you. So they'll wait for the right moment where they feel, okay, they're in that right space, and maybe the veil is thinner at certain times where they can reach through and connect, and that's when they'll really get in there and give you a message.
Do you ever see angels in your lucid dreams? Do you ever encounter angels in your lucid dreams?
Well, there is a story in my book about Gabriel.
Ooh,
and
juicy.
And it wasn't. It was kind of and I don't want to get into the darkness, but I did an event in Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, And things were a little weird that night. I was doing a live reading event, and anyhow, I after the event, I found a bunch of dimes on the floor, which is not unusual for, you know, people to be dropping coins and things like that on the floor. But it's a symbol of my dad, because I know he often sends me dimes when he's around. And I thought, okay, well, it could be a coincidence, right? And then I went up to my hotel, because I actually made it not into the room yet. And I was going to go into my room, and I had 2 suitcases, because I had like books, I had my sound gear, I have everything that I'm bringing to my room, and I haven't had an opportunity to go there. So I had to leave 1 suitcase out in the hall. So I pull 1 suitcase in, and the door just closed. And because I'm really paranoid that somebody's going to snag my stuff, right? So I'm like, I open the door really quick. But when I open the door, there's a $10 bill sitting on top of my suitcase. And I know that wasn't there.
You would have noticed that, right?
I would have noticed $10 right away, right? It's like, there's no way that could have gotten there. So I pull it in, I think there's something up. And anyhow, I went to sleep, and I had this really strange dream where there was this darkness thing that I was kind of fighting in my dream. And then I woke up, and then I was the energy was a little heavy. So I smudged. Is this an indigenous cultural thing to clear your energy? I smudged myself, I smudged the room, and then I managed to get back to sleep. And then I went back into another dream, and then everything got all light. And this man walks up to me in a long white robe. I didn't see any wings, mind you, and he's got curly dark hair, and he, in a dimple on his chin, I believe. And he walked up to me and he goes, "Shawn, do not fear me." I'm like, okay, well, why would I fear you? And this isn't a dream.
So this is just so I'm tracking this correctly, this is a dream that happened after the $10 thing happened, and you're like, I'm gonna go to bed now, and then it was you smudged yourself, you went to bed, and this was kind of a continuation of this.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he says, "Shawn, do not fear me." And I said, "Why would I fear you?" Because I come with you to give you a message. And I said, "Okay, what is the message?" Because you're going to be going through a really difficult time soon. And I'm here to let you know. And I want you to know I'm going to be helping you through every part of it. Never lose faith. I'm going to be with you. And I'm like, what am I going to go through? And then I woke up.
Dang.
And I was like, what the heck is going on? I mean, like all the dimes, the $10 bill. And I think this is like insane. Like, what's happening? So I called a Mi'kmaq elder. And I said, "Can I meet you on my way home?" And he says, "I'll meet you at the airport," which is outside of Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the way to where I live. And he met me at we have a coffee place here called Tim Hortons. Most people probably know it. I don't know, down in the States.
Yep.
Not that I'm a big Tim's fan, just so you know, but anyway, he was. So I met him at Tim's, and he goes, so I detailed to him, I said, and his name was Joe. I said, "Joe," and I told him, he says, "Tell me what's going on." And I told him about the dimes, and I told him about the bill, and then I said, "So tell me about what happened in the dream." And I said, "Well, this man came up to me in a long white robe. I've never seen him before. He had kind of curly dark hair and a dimple in his chin, and he was very slim." And he said, "What did he say his name was?" I said, "I don't know. I think he said his name was Gilbert or something like this." He said, "I think it was Gilbert."
Archangel Gilbert.
He says, "It wasn't freaking Gilbert." He says, "That was Gabriel." I said, "How did you know it was Gabriel?" Because he says, every account of Gabriel connecting to somebody always comes to them and says, "Do not fear me. I come to you with a message." Because Gabriel is a messenger. And I've never, ever spoke to Gabriel I never had a conversation with Gabriel. It's not like I invited Gabriel in. He directly connected to me. And within a week, things went really bad in my relationship. I had to leave, and it was pretty hard for a long time, actually. I can't go into a lot of detail of it, but it wasn't good. And so anyway, I just trusted, and I remembered what Gabriel said, that it would all work out, and it did.
Wow, that gave me chills. That was so poignant with, he always says this, "Don't fear me." Like, that's even biblical, right?
It is, like, in every account. And then I started researching it, I start like listening to all accounts of Gabriel in the Bible or other stories. His words are always that.
Oh my
And
God.
not that I'm like Christian or as opposed to any other religion. I mean, I think they all lead to the same thing. But even when he
Yes.
met Mary, I mean, Mary didn't even know who he was. When he met Mary, he said, "Mary, do not fear me. I come with you with a message." And those were words verbatim when he said to her, when he talked to her about being pregnant.
Yeah.
So mine wasn't pregnant, thank God.
That would have been a miracle. That would have been.
Yeah, that would have been awkward.
You're like, I'll take the crappy relationship over pregnancy. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But that's my angel story. Have I had other experiences? I've felt angels. I know we have personal angels around us. I've done meditations where I've connected to them. But never as profound as that. That was like the most profound connection I've ever had, and I've never forgotten it.
So that's excellent. That was a beautiful story, and that's inside your book. And so we're gonna do a book giveaway at some point. We'll have to work on that one. But that's awesome. So, Miss Jillian, do you have any questions about angels or dreams or anything that you want to pop in with?
Well, I have some ET stuff, and I know it's not Shawn's forte and UFOs. It's not necessarily Shawn's forte, but I want to talk about something that I have experienced and maybe get your input on it. So the primary way that I connect with spirit is through clairvoyance. When I meditate, I have images that pop up. Just I see it no different as if I'm looking at the screen, looking at you guys. It's about 75-80% of the time when I meditate. So when this first started up, I mean, I was seeing people I didn't know. I was seeing places I've never seen before. That was kind of parallel to another type of images that I kept seeing, which were extraterrestrial looking images. And there was one point, you know, and I was going on journeying meditations. Like I was doing hour and a half long meditations. I love doing it. I still love doing it. Yeah. So this one time, this one experience is what really made it concrete for me that it was actually a reality of what was going on as opposed to anything subconscious that might have been in my mind projecting the images. So I was doing a meditation. It was a guided one. And I see this, it looked like an alien, like an ET, and it looked like kind of a Zeta Reticuli gray mix. I don't know if you're even familiar with that. But anyways, it had like the almond eyes and it had, you know, really wrinkly skin. I could see all the crevices in the skin, and it popped up like in front of my face while I was meditating. And it looked at me as if I freaked him out. Like it was looking at me and it looked at me as if I had popped up in front of this guy as opposed to the other way around. And then as the image was there, this being started going like this to see if he could, you know, in my perspective, he was trying to see like the angles of my face. It was very, very strange. And I just want to get any input that you might possibly have into that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're not the only people in all the universe, like, you know, or humanoid type of people. I mean, whether you're Zeta Reticuli or other names that I'm unfamiliar with many of them, but we're all humanoids of some sort, or a species of sort where there's intelligence and some, I'm sure, much greater than ours. But, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, we're spiritual beings here in the world. And we're, you know, people and other planets, we're all connected. I think quantum physics would say there's things faster than light. Quantum physics, everything's connected all the time, everywhere, and there's no space or time. It's, you know, instantaneous. Beings on other planets, which I feel like we've probably all have been. There's a very high chance that we've lived other lives and not just on this world only. I know I have lived in other worlds as well. Do I have very many memories of that? No, but I do have some that still flash in from time to time. I think probably my incarnation process on this planet itself through reincarnation in this world is probably about 20,000 years ago, from my understanding. Whoa. But you know, how can I put this? We're spiritual beings, but so are they. They're
Right.
connected to spirit. You're meditating, so are they. When you're reaching out to connect in a way, even if you're just being open to the potential possibility of making a connection, some other being in another world was doing the same thing and connected to you in the meditation.
Right.
So they were having an experience where they were meditating, reaching out to see if they could connect to somebody who was open, just like you were doing the reverse. There might even be a soul connection between the two of you that transcends this physical world. In their physical world, you've lived there before, he may have lived here before, who knows, it could be both. But I feel like you've made a connection to that being who is also in meditation, who is reaching out through the ether of everything to connect to someone and something else. That's why he was surprised to see you and he was checking you out, because he was like, oh my God, I see you. And he was like trying to observe what type of being you are.
Right.
I mean, he may recognize, it may be familiar to him, it may be unfamiliar to him. I can't answer that. But what I can answer is that he made a connection to you, you made a connection to him, and it transcends, fiber optic internet and telephone and all those things. So it's like we're all connected. Spirit, it is not just in this planet itself. I mean, in spirit form, we can travel to many worlds. And I know spirits have shown me many images of being on different worlds, even within our solar system, because when you're not constrained by the human form of this body that can feel heat or cold or things, I mean, we could be like having an experience on Venus watching the sunrise, and I know there's spirits doing that, or on a moon on Saturn, there is spirits doing that. Our world has another side, but through thought, because we're energy first, we're spirit first, like a conscious energy being, that we can think ourselves to many places and even other worlds.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Thank you. Awesome.
I have a question from several people on that, following up on that, as far as whether you think or whether they have a way of telling them where they're from, or is that their way of telling them that that's where they're from if they feel a specific connection, or if they continue to see certain types of beings?
Yeah, well, I think there's probably many similar types of beings. Like, I don't think we're the only humanoid type of beings that look like this form. I feel like there's probably other worlds out there in our galaxy that definitely have, humanoid. We'd probably not even know that they weren't us. And I'm not even sure that there's not some connection to them and us way before even our understanding. I'm sure there is. But I mean, I think to say that we're from, we could be from like 100 different planets. Where we all look the way we are right now. We could look like the Greys, and I have seen one of those gray people, once, which startled me. And she was standing at the end of my bed looking at me. It scared the bejeebus out of me for a second, because I woke up and I saw her. And I was startled because I didn't expect to see like a little 3-foot high little gray person and she had eyelashes for whatever reason. It was definitely a girl, because she was batting her eyelashes a little bit, and I was like, what the hell? And then I turned on the light and she was gone. I was like, what the, and I wasn't dreaming. She was there, but and it was like she was coming to check me out, but she was like, and she was very feminine, and it was like, I haven't had a whole lot of experiences like that, but definitely I had that one. It did scare me for a second.
That's wild. So it was a gray with big eyes.
Eyelashes, like her eyelashes it even looked like they were curled a little bit. But and she was sitting there and she was like almost like giggling with like happiness and joy and love, because I was laying in bed hugging my partner, and she was like admiring that we were loving each other. But she was asleep and I was just hugging her. But when I saw her, I screamed a little bit, I think. But I mean, I'm sure they're checking on us. Whether that was an energy where she's able, and I think in spirit, maybe other civilizations, maybe we think that we need a ship, right? This is the thought. Maybe as we progress through lives in many lifetimes, and let's say we evolve, if we get the chance to evolve here in this world, maybe we'll be able to transfigure somewhere else with spirit and have like an awareness of where we are and be able to see where we are for a moment without having to fly like in a ship to a place.
Yeah. Shawn, Kat's gonna blow his mind because he's gonna be really mad at me because I didn't say anything about this the last week.
Yeah.
Previous weekend, and I'm getting, now you can say it. I was told I couldn't say it before. Now I can say it. The other night, a week ago, had a dream, and it was this very visceral, I could feel it. It was a gray coming and holding me from behind, and I felt this swoosh backwards, and I heard everything's fine, and this loving feeling, and I just felt this swoosh down into the bed, and it was in my dream. And I woke up in the morning, and I had a red dot on my toe.
Mm-hmm.
The cat's over here. I can see him blowing his mind.
Yeah, bury the lead. Don't tell me about that one.
No, I was told not to, that it was
All
not the
right.
time to share it. And so now's the time to share it. But it was the most loving, like everything's fine, you're fine. Like it's like we've done this before, you're okay, and it was just this, and I just felt this sinking back into the bed thinking, wonder how they're doing that, and I wonder if I'm still here. Right? I'm having all of these very, very cognizant thoughts in the process, but it was just this swoosh.
And it was
and
a
then I don't
gray?
remember anything after the swoosh.
It was a gray, Linda, that hugged you?
It felt like it seemed as a gray, and it was a little smaller and from behind and just holding around, and it was very, very secure, very loving, very, yeah. And I've never had that. I've seen 2 UFOs, but I've never ever had any feeling of contact before.
Wow. And you had little experiences before of lights being outside your bedroom window and then there being nothing there. Like this has been a buildup, honestly. It's just
it almost seems like an awareness that's starting to come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can I add to something to that?
Yeah, please.
So, spirit, I've seen spirit take physical form in life, and I know that I'm not the only one that has experienced this in life, where they've actually saw somebody that's pulled them out of the car or pulled them, saved them in some way, where they've actually become a physical being in the sense where they've actually stepped into this world and then changed something in the environment to either save you, protect you, or help you, or even maybe just visit you. And if we can do it in spirit, then why can't other beings do it from other places? And if you're spirit and you can transcend space and time, there's nothing stopping any other being from anywhere else, coming to this world and actually becoming physical for a moment and then going back into their realm of where they are. If we can do it as people, as our ancestors can do it, then if it's possible for us, it's possible for all other beings that are out in the universe. And just subtract space and time, because there's really no space or time. Everything is now and here and connected. It's not disconnected in any way. Whether we just experience disconnection, that's all. But I feel like all other beings and people out there, or all these species or whatever, we're all connected.
Isn't that the thing with the whole, I love that you're saying there's no space and time. What I've been getting lately, because I've been exploring this whole concept of heaven is within, our angels are within us. There's this, it's like we experience this birth into a body, but like you're saying, when we dream, we go back into the astral. And there's that place of that doesn't have time or space. We still experience, a sense of time moving and whatnot, but it's not necessarily even linear. And so within the realm of not being in the physical, there's a continuum that does not play by time and space, earth rules, right?
Absolutely, yeah, it definitely doesn't. No.
Yeah. And do you feel like the astral realm is just one level of consciousness, and then we can acquire other levels of consciousness while still being incarnate? Like, what is your experience with that?
Well, I absolutely we can. I mean, we experience, all of us have gone into the astral world when we're dreaming. Most times, that's probably where we're experiencing our dreams. Does it mean that we cannot have an experience where we're on the other side? I believe most of us are going to the other side and don't even realize you're there sometimes, especially if you're having a visitation. So if you're, you know, if you lost your mom, your dad, your grandmom, and next thing you know, you have this profound visitation dream where you're speaking to your guide or your mom or dad or whoever, you know, what makes you think that you're not in the light? I mean, or in the spirit world, and rather than coming here, you have not made the trip there to connect to. And because if it's possible for us to transcend levels or dimensions, I guess, then it absolutely is. It's possible for us. We experience it now. Most of us do. It's not it's not a strange thing. And I feel like we can go beyond that. There's, you know, our awareness can go even farther beyond that if we choose.
Absolutely. John, do you by any chance have any like headphones that have a little mic in it by any chance? Because I feel like maybe your vocals are popping in and out. And if you don't worry about it.
No, I don't have any headset. No.
All right.
Maybe
No worries.
Does this help? Can you guys all hear me okay? Or
that was a little bit better because it's popping in and out. And I thought maybe it was just me because I verbally respond when people are talking. I'm like, oh yeah. So I thought I was maybe blocking you, but I just want to make sure that people can hear you okay. Miss Jillian, Miss Linda, did you want to come in with some more questions for Shawn? Okay, yeah.
So my questions from the audience are a lot more about the relationship between, and this not just from this show, but in general, the relationship between aliens and angels and ancestors, and how this mix all takes place, and maybe share your thoughts on that.
We're all spirit having an experience, whether you're in this form or another form. I don't believe angels have ever had a physical incarnation, from my understanding, especially in this world. Maybe another world, but maybe not in this world. I feel like they're removed from ego. I don't feel there's that life experience in the sense from an angel. I feel like they've evolved in a higher level of energy, so they have not had to like come into the physical reality to evolve. Maybe they've evolved on the other side long before we came into this world or creation. I don't know everything, that's for sure, but I do know that they exist. And you know, there's nobody greater, there's nobody less than, and it doesn't matter if you're an ant, a blade of grass, or some gray living on another world. We're equal. I mean, we all have different intelligence, things we're learning and gaining, you know, for our creator. Because I mean, we're all, you know, having experience within our creator, because the universe itself is the creator. Having an experience through all of us. And if you were the creator, why would you only want to have an experience through one thing when you can experience everything?
Yeah. And I think, again, that it makes me think about how in this time, space, place, we are so linear and we have boxes for everything, and we don't see the connections because we are so myopic in our vision and our understanding, and we are just born trained to see things with labels and boxes, and we don't see how they're linked and coming together, which again, when you start to connect with nature and you start to have that organic relationship with life in the world, then those boxes, those walls start to thin, and you start to see, oh, this is a continuum. They're all cousins. Like, you know, angels and ETs, you know, they aren't the same, but yet we can think of them as, you know, cousins in some, you know, spiritual form, right?
Well, we have a word in Mi'kmaq. We say "Emsit Nogama," which means all my relations.
Okay, say it again in Mi'kmaq.
It's Emsit Nogama, which means all of my relations. In all of our prayers and our ceremonies, begin and typically end with that. And it's because we're honoring the spirit of everything, of everyone, and not just in our world. I mean, it transcends this world. Our ancestors and brothers, sisters who live in other planets and planes. And I mean, we're all connected. And, you know, we're all here having an experience, whatever form of energy you're in. And by saying that, we're honoring all those people that have come before us, that will come after us. We're honoring the spirit of the trees, the ocean, everything. It's all about honoring that connection to the whole.
Yeah. And that's where the healing begins, right?
It is. When you realize that you're not separate, but you're connected to it all. And what you do to another, what you do to the world, what you do to the planet, you know, you can love it or you can hate it. I mean, we're ultimate creators, but if you want to experience life and have joy in life, then I say love it with all your heart.
It's so beautiful. That is a great sentiment to begin wrapping up the show. I want to make sure that if there's any last questions from Linda or Jillian, you can hop in. And if not, you can wave me on. I just want to make sure everyone has a final. Miss Jillian is satiated, looks like. And are we okay with Linda with people, or we're all right?
I think we're good with the questions. I think Jillian, though, had some other non-related questions that we want to bring in.
She's said she was okay. I've chatted with her, so I wanted to make sure. But this is the thing, is that we will have Shawn back in with us for sure. And so we can do some more exploration. So Shawn has graciously gifted us a book to pass on. And so we will have a little powwow. Oh, that's not appropriate. We'll have a little meeting about that.
See that spirit right there saying, hey, buddy.
That's from my childhood. I was like, "Hooba! Don't
Rendezvous."
We'll have a rendezvous. And so maybe if you are really interested in doing the giveaway with us, it would probably be good to connect with us on our Facebook group. And that way we can keep track of who's interested. So our Facebook group is down in the link below. And you can join us. You can let us know, and we'll do something. Maybe we can connect with Shawn and do some sort of a giveaway. We'll get co-creative on that one. And so I'm going to thank everybody, and then I just want to be able to let you know what's happening next week on our show. But first, I would just like to thank Miss Jillian for being amazing. She is an ET experiencer, obviously a spirit experiencer. She's shared so much of her own journey today. Thank you for bringing us Shawn and being that glorious conduit.
Oh, no problem at all. This was fun. Lots of fun.
So thank you. And then Miss Linda, of course, for being at the helm of the ship and guiding and steering. Thank you so much.
I appreciate everyone that's joined us. The community out there you have an amazing community, Shawn. I have
the best people in the world. That's what I say.
They are beautiful. So I just want to say how much I've been appreciating the content that they're providing and the communication that they're providing on the side. And they love you. So it's wonderful. It's just been a little love fest over here.
Well, that's awesome. I you know, a lot of people are probably from my course that are watching today, and I did send out an email to like 13,000 plus people. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching. So I you know, I have the best people in the world that follow me, and I'm really happy that many good people are in my life in one form or another. And I'd like to say, Jillian, Linda, and Kat, you've just been added to those people. So thank you.
Oh.
And I think we can put some more information about you if you want in the Facebook of how people can also get a hold of you and have some of that ongoing.
Sure. I mean, if I don't do any personal readings, but
right, no personal readings, but to connect with your show.
Spirit Talker on APTN. I filmed season 2 this year. It's going to be coming out in the fall of 2021. And yeah, if you wanted to get the book, The Language of Spirit, there's links on my website to Amazon, and I think Barnes and Noble on there too. But you know, please, you know, follow me if you haven't, and you know, I look forward to connecting to you all again. in this format or another. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Shawn. You're so authentic. You're so real. Your heart is so warm. And so thank you to you, and thank you to all of Shawn's people. We just want to really bless and honor them and for being part of this. Was there any last thing, Linda, you want to pop in with? I saw you wave your hand.
Just very quick, I have to tell you, it freaks me out a little bit because you look like you could be my uncle's brother. And so it's been like talking to a younger version of my uncle this whole time.
Well, we're all family.
Very, very similar.
But maybe me and you are a little bit more the family.
I think we probably, yeah, we have tried to figure out our family there, and you may have just solved a little of it for me.
You never know.
All happening live on Third Eye Salon. You can't get better than that. All right. Thank you, everyone. And again, thank you, wonderful people showing up today and communicating, participating, sharing your questions, sharing your ideas. You are what makes the show possible. So we want to thank you and honor you and make sure that you know that we have a community for you if you want to join us in our Facebook group. And of course, we invite you to, again, to subscribe to Third Eye Salon and to hit the notification bell so that way you can know when we're going live next week. And to share this conversation, if there's other people that you know that would benefit from hearing about Shawn's experiences and his teachings and his work, please share the content. And so next week, we are actually having another Shawn McNamara, and we are going to be exploring telekinesis, remote viewing, more lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, and how to overcome toxic spiritual mentors who kind of show up to teach you, but they're really taking something at the same time. How do you identify that and overcome that and take back your power? Shawn McNamara has written the book, Renegade Mystic, The Pursuit of Spiritual Freedom Through Consciousness Exploration. So he actually lives in Denver. I'm like, wow, maybe I can go have tea with him or something. It's amazing. But we'll have him on next week. And yeah, once again, thank you everyone for being here. It's been a fantastic show. We'll have Shawn back. We love you. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself and be kinder to the world. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.